video, I'm going to cover, again, I get this topic a lot. Where should I build? How should I do it? What areas should I focus on? People miss a lot of the common things that they should be doing and they're not too familiar with, or they just got bad advice and don't have an understanding of certain things, which is fine. I'm going to try to clear some of that up right now. So, one of the biggest things I see is people, having an understanding of what maybe their leader told them or a member from a previous server told them, and the misconception, and a lot of times a lot of information is spread from other players, whether it's from an older server or experience playing in that server and things like that. So the first thing that I do see a lot, again, this is not for every single player, I wouldn't suggest you start doing this, but is not having an understanding of why the wall is important for certain times. So yes, your zombies is important. If you're a smaller player, you're not a rally starter, you're a joiner, I would most likely say you probably are going to want to steer clear of this. Reason being, the reason I talk and bring up the wall is sometimes it works into my advantage, right? So if I'm going against a player that's relatively similar in size, but I know my first march and my second march is strong enough to where I shouldn't take a lot of damage, or it's going to be neutral and he's probably going to take more damage, or her, then I'm fine with putting my wall up. Here's the thing I don't do. Unless I am in Mega Whale and my marches are insane, and my first march is as strong as my second and third march, I'm not putting more than 2 on my wall. Sometimes maybe 1. Reason being, if you think about it, we'll use this as an example. This is me with 2 marches on my wall. I am reinforced, and I'm having a larger player hit me by myself. Fortunate enough for me, he doesn't realize that I have them on there. He might see them, but doesn't think I probably have them on my wall. I lost some troops, right? If I had a third one on my wall, I would probably win this, but I'd probably take a larger loss, right? So you think about it. If I have 2, and again, this depends on how big your troop grounds is, how strong you are, how good your tech is. All this stuff comes into play. If I leave 3 on my wall, and God forbid he hits me, and he sends another march, which most likely we'll talk about in a second, there's a chance that I could lose more, right? I always want to do the 2 because if my first is just as strong as theirs and I'm countering them, they're probably not getting through my second if it's strong. If my first march is 30 million, he has missile, and his missile's around 28, and my missile is 25, 24, or relatively close in that range, he's most likely, if he's only sending 1, not going to get through the 2. Especially if I'm reinforced, he's probably going to do more damage to him if he's going by himself. Now, if he's sending a rally and he's countering what I have, that's a different story, right? But we come into here, and that's one of the things you can understand. If you're a bigger player, um, you know, relatively higher in your alliance or server with hero power, then this is something you want to, you can play around with, right? If you have a larger player, much larger player, where you go against them in arena or 3v3, and they destroy you every single time, their marches for their hero power over 30 million, their gear is, a lot of red prints, maxed out, then my suggestion to you is if you know you're not close to any of them and they send 1 or 2, they're most likely going to run through all of your walls. So my suggestion to you is not having any. And if I did have any, it would be 1, but I would not do it with them because you're going to lose that regardless. And the whole premise of this is you don't want to give people points or free kills, right? So we want to stay away from that. If you have a 27 and it's a fake 27. It's not a real one where there's players who max out all their tech. They have T9s and they bait you to hit them to get kills, right? Then that's fine. You keep it on there. They're not going to go through. They're not going to go through your wall. Same thing. The times you can do this is Desert Storm. You're getting all your troops back, so it doesn't matter. But again, I'm not putting 3. I'm practicing what I preach, right? I'm not putting 3. I'm practicing in Desert Storm. I'm practicing different events. I'm practicing Capital. Just remember, too, in Capital, you're not going to have probably one person trying to hit you. You're going to have a multitude of people. So if I put 3 and I'm getting hit by every single big player in there, even though I'm big, I'm going to dwindle down very fast, right? That's not what I want. I don't want to be in the battle for 10 minutes and be like, yep, I'm done. I lost all my troops. It is what it is. You want to play smart, conservatively. You want to have a strategy and a battle plan, right? If you have 2 and you know this person's coming to hit you, and you're not sure, and then more are coming, and they're just as strong, then my suggestion would be, one, either move out of there, readjust your lineup if they're crushing you, and let's say they have air and yours tank, you can always adjust your gear or your lineup. There's nothing wrong with that based off what you're facing. I do that a lot, but it takes time, right? You're not going to do it on the fly and be like, all right, let me switch this gear around and do this. If I have, for example, if I have someone who has an extremely strong missile and my tank is strong, then I'm going to keep that. If I have someone who has a tank similar to me that's super strong, I'm just going to switch all my gear. I'm going to teleport out, switch it all over to air. I'm going to counter what he has, so I don't have to worry about it, and I can switch it back later, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I said sometimes it's good to build out your second one, but again, I have guides on this and one-on-ones we talk about all the time. All these scenarios and things I talk about are all listed in there, and it covers a multitude of things. It goes into great detail, and then I cover what you should do. So, again, this is just one of the most recent ones I saw. This is a guide. Again, I'm going to start doing live reports, going over stuff. So, I lost this one. This is after I got smacked by a couple times. But if you look at his gear, so we can say he has 2 red guns, one on DVA and one on Morrison. Me personally, what I would be doing is worrying about my front line, right? I like the red guns. I think 1 is good. I think the 4 stars is just as good as a red gun at that point, because really where you're going to benefit that is going to be, World Boss. And it's only going to really give you a lot more damage, just like the chips, if you're countering someone. So, for example, he's getting a bonus here because he's countering tank, right? But if he's countering air, he's not getting as much damage and crit hits as he would on a tank or anything that he counters, right? Missile, he's not going to get it. Tank, he would get it. But what I would do here is he's spread out pretty thin to me. There's 1 stars all over the place. He's got 1, 1, 1. I would focus on this account. I would focus on 1. 1 being I want to get my defense to catch up to my offense. I probably, like I said, would have just kept Morrison to 4 stars. I don't know how many red prints this person has, but I would be building out my front line. I'd go my radar with Carly, then I go Lucas, and I built that out. Once I had that, I would start to look to build in other areas, whether it was my DVA or my Morrison for my radar. I like the radar the best. We talk about it all the time. I want to get it, even if I get my Carly or Lucas, instead of getting all these stars all over the place, I would have rather take all these stars off. Now it's too late. I wouldn't suggest breaking down gear just to do that. But if you didn't worry about Skylar, right? Let's just say you did 1. That's 4 stars that you could have had there, right? Because each one is 5 prints, 5, 10. That's 15. And then I would have probably kept DVA at 2 stars. I like going to DVA with the chip, but not before you handle everything else. So building that out, to me, is a mistake because now your offense is super strong, which is great, but at the same time, I want to have my defense strong so I can counter what I'm going to get hit with, right? I want to have my defense strong so it can allow my other players to work. A chip at 3 stars is great on DVA, but no radar on any of my front line, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense because now your front is going to be weaker than your back. So DVA is going to cook, but imagine if you didn't do the 3 chips, you would have so much more time for DVA. Even with 1 less would be great. Now, would I say I'd go 3 after I do the radar? Yeah, that's a good way. Or focus on 1. When I start spreading out 1 dot, 2 dot, if I'm going for that, I want to focus on 1 area at a time. I don't want to make it to where I go here and there because you're spreading yourself out so thin. If we look at this, remember, 1 dot is 5 blueprints. It's a lot of stuff. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. That's 45 blueprints that are spread out to 1. Instead of focusing on the 1 and getting that gear squared away, then we can move back. So, all right, guys, this is a quick video I want to show you guys. If you have any questions, Twitch, Discord, or in the game. Again, if you want to do the one-on-one or you want to do anything else, just reach out to me. I hope this video helps. All right, guys, bye.